Okay, so in the last video, I was looking at this and I was thinking like, why did I set duration? Like that shouldn't be required. So let's just go ahead and remove this. And if you run Rails test models activity, let's just run line 9, which is like the simplest test, which basically tests is that valid or is it not? We don't do anything special. So it's failing, which isn't good. Let's go in here and run a by bug to see what is going on. Clear that out, run the test again. Or actually I think I have to put the by bug before the failure. Otherwise it just skips it. So let's see here. So we get activity.valid. We know that's going to return false. But if I do activity.errors.messages, this will kind of tell us what's going on. Okay, and it looks like it's because there's no distance and there's no duration. So it actually makes sense that we had a duration up there because you need to have one of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and just back out of this, save it. So that's good. We're in a good spot. Let's keep building out this form, shall we? So I just wanted to make sure like my logic was good, because if the model is like super important, and if that's not working correctly, then the rest of your application is like making the application look nice won't matter if the way you're modeling your data doesn't make sense. So let's just go up to the schema here and get these two next to each other. So we got duration. I'm actually going to get rid of duration because we're going to, or I shouldn't say I'm going to get rid of it. You know what, we'll keep it here. But we're going to have to like on the fly calculate this, I think. But I don't want to actually have, where are we here? I don't want to actually have just an open field that says duration, because it's, unless like you're able to put in hours, minutes, and seconds into this field, which I need to look into more. This really should be calculated, and we can do it in a few other ways. But because the thing is, it needs to be duration in seconds, so someone's not going to want to take the time to be like, okay, I ran for an hour and 15 minutes. You know, like how many seconds is that? That's what computers are for. But I digress. Let's go to the schema and just kind of get through these. So category, which we know is an enum. I don't actually know how to do this with enums, because an enum is actually an integer when it's all said and done. Let's just see here. So, and I should say we're gonna write tests for this later, but I think it's kind of easier to do it this way at first. So we don't want it to be a date field. We might want it to be like a select list, I guess. So let's see. Options for select. Maybe do that. Actually, do they have anything in here about forms? So we want active record enum. This is all good, but like, I'd love to see an example of how this is in a form. So I did some poking around, and I found this Stack Overflow answer right here, which I'm digging. I'm liking this. So, although I don't know if I guess before I get too far, does a user even have? Let's do I'm gonna do something kind of strange here at first. I'm gonna throw arrays in here, and actually no, not. Yeah, let's do this. I'll explain in a minute. Now if I go in here, if I type activity, I just threw the arrays so I can like go into the console. I guess I could have just done it in the Rails console, but that's okay. So let's just do activity dot categories dot keys. Oh, okay, so this is good. So I think I should be able to just copy this, and we got category So we want to do what we just did right here. So activity.categories.keys. This will be an empty value, and we want to be able to, what's the bootstrap? I think it's just form control probably. Let's see what happens if I do form control. Oop. I should say this is a cool little helper here. Alright, let's refresh this page. What do we get? So run long run. Okay, so this is working, but it kind of looks, I wish it didn't say like long underscore run. So I gotta think about that for a second here. So what does this answer say? Ooh, this is kind of cool. Let's try this. And you're probably thinking like, dude, why are you just like going on Stack Overflow and not like teaching me how to do this? And it's because this is kind of how real world web development works. Like, I know that there's just a better way to do this. I probably wasn't gonna think of this on my own, or at least not in a timely fashion. And there's nothing wrong with this searching for this stuff. Activity dot categories like keys at map, and then let's just change DP to activity. What does this do? It doesn't like that. Let's see what this is actually returning. I might just not be. So this is good. Oh, I like this. Okay, so this is good. It's returning what we want. I just don't think I'm passing in everything that collection select needs. So what does it need? It needs a method, collection, value method. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, you know what? I think this person had it correct on Stack Overflow. I think first represents, let's bring these closer. Or where are we here? First would represent this, second would represent this. So this would be the value that the select list has. This would get passed into the database, but this is what the user would see in the select list. Let's just give this a shot. So I want to add a comma, first and second, refresh the page. All right, that's good. Now we just got to make this thing look nice, which I think we need to do. So there's options and HTML options. So we want to do blank here. And then that'll allow us to do class form control. All right, so that looks good. Let's just see if the markup is good. All right, so let's just do another one here. I'll say other. That's not going to work, but that's okay. Actually, you know what we should really do instead of dealing with that all the time? Let's go ahead and do, I'm going to copy new, rename this, and then we can just change this to show. And then we can do, let's just render out, so we'll do debug activity, but we need to actually make this show action in our controller, otherwise it's gonna not be happy with us. So let's go to activities controller, go up here, and we'll do def show. And I know it's Rails convention to do before action set activity, because we're going to do this in a few places. Make this a private method. And then then we can do activity equals params, I think ID, right? And actually, if I can probably show you how this even works. So if I go into, or not params ID, but activity dot find, and let me show you how this works, because this stuff can always be a little cryptic. But right here, let's go to the console. So the ID is 2. If I run params ID, I get 2. If I just run params, so I get the controller of activities, the action to show, and then the ID is 2. That's because of this right here. So I can just do that to get the ID, and then if I do activity.find, it'll actually find the activity. And we'll need to do this in a few other places. So instead of just, I could easily just do like show and then that. Nothing wrong with that, but I know later on the edit form, for example, we need to find the activity before we can edit the activity. So it's easier to just do it in one place. Same with the activity params. But anywho, let's refresh the page. So we see this on here. Category. Actually, that's not too helpful. I think it worked because it was set to 4, which was not the default value. Instead of debug, I think we can do debug, inspect maybe. Okay, I like that a little better. What do we got here? Category other. Okay, so that's good. So the form is working. So let's just quickly go through. Oh, that was my bad there. So this is doing before action on everything, but you don't need to find the activity. So the activity is already being instantiated here, and it's being instantiated on create. So we actually want to do only, and then we'll do show. And again, I'm going to write tests for this later, but I just wanted to kind of get through this part quickly, because sometimes it's just easier to like see what you're doing versus testing it all out. So let's go to the schema. So distance, so we get difficulty, but luckily now we're in a good spot. So we'll do, I think I'm going to swap these out. Difficulty, unit, difficulties, let's see how this is going. I think for this one we might actually even want to have a blank one for the unit. Where is that? ID, let's do prompt true. I think we can put that in here. Okay, so we can do that. I'm wondering if we should force someone to choose a difficulty. I kind of like that. Like if we're uploading them through like a CSV or something, I don't think it'll actually set anything if there's no value. But I kind of like the idea of just making someone choose the difficulty, because it could help them detect, you know, burnout maybe. Like if they see like, well, you know, for the past 3 weeks, all my runs have been moderate or hard. Like, there's some value in forcing someone to do that. So, created that update date. We have date and calculated pace. We don't need, so I think we have everything we need. Also, I should say, you're probably thinking like, well, there's no place to like describe your run. We'll take care of that in a little bit. So that there's like a text field down here, or text area. The only other thing, these styles look a little off. So let me just check this out here. Okay, I think we want custom select, not form control. Let's go back to the form here. So just swap these out for custom select. Go here, refresh. Okay, this is looking better. Category, we definitely should be able to choose the category. So I'm gonna go just do the last thing for all of these. Let's create this. So other, distance was nil, difficulty was hard, units here. Okay, so that's all saving. Let's just quickly save this. So we'll say add remaining fields and create activities show. So one thing we need to actually think about doing is adding form errors. So if I click create activity, nothing shows up, and that's because duration is blank. Let's see if I can quickly do this here. And I'm actually gonna throw arrays in here real quick. So if I just want to see what's on the F. I think f.object. So f.object represents activity. So I think we do f.object dot errors dot. Can I do full message? So this is kind of our magic thing here. So let's just do if f.object.errors.any and then see, I know like I can probably find this in Stack Overflow. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head here just to get better at programming. So let's see here. We want to do, and we know that this will help us, so we can iterate through this. f.object.errors and full messages. Actually, we can do each do let's just see what this does. So if I do this date base, so it's showing us what's going on. I think we want to do dot full messages, and it keeps going to the index because I made a post request. The post request goes to this route, but it broke, and then I refreshed. So it's a long way of saying don't worry about it. Date can't be blank. Date can't be blank. Please add a distance or duration. So this is good. So it's actually showing the errors. So let's just wrap this in a UL. Okay, so that's good. Oh, it's gonna say formatting's off. It makes sense because I did that. And then let's see here. I think you can do, there's like a special pluralize see here. Pluralize. Okay, so this is a little helper here that we can do. So pluralize the length of that. So the reason we're doing this is like if this returns 1, it'll say error. If it returns anything greater than 1, it'll say errors. If I pass in that, so prevented this. We can even be smart about it. I think do f.object dot class from being saved. Oops, I didn't like that. F.object. Maybe it's count. Count, not length. Two errors prevented this activity from being saved. Although it is capitalized, can I do, real quick, can I do like lowercase here? I think it's like 2. Dot down case. Will this work? I don't know if I can pass down case on class. Let's just see what happens. Oh yeah, I can tell it's not going to like that. Class dot name dot. Okay, here we go. That's good. Never be afraid to use this console down here. It can save you a lot of time. So we do activities.new. Got all this, create activity. 2 errors prevented this activity from being saved. Date can't be blank. Please add a distance or duration. This is looking pretty sweet. This video is going kind of long, so I think we'll save it at there. Oh, actually, before I go too far ahead though, false alarm. What I actually want to do is extract this into a partial and then make a commit. So we'll just call this form errors.html.erb. And let's see here, activities form. We'll cut that, paste it in here. And we might need to pass a local variable in there. But that's there. So now we can do render partial, and I think we actually have to put the word partial there. Then we do shared form errors. This might not work. We might have to actually pass in the concept of this F right here, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's okay. So I kind of knew that was going to happen. And then we just do local FF, I think. So this F is here. This F represents this F right here. There might be locals, plural, not singular. Locals. Okay, so that worked. Let's do it one more time, create that activity. All right, so that works. Now it's actually committed, so git status. What was my last commit actually? Add remaining field, so git add a, git commit. say render form errors, and let's go ahead and clear that and push that up, and we'll leave it at that for now.